I mean, that's.
Don't you have a block of oats or something and all that?
And on Jack.
Back there to eat that?
One from
I
his
mean-
grandson. Yeah.
They're eager. Is this a writing order?
Yes. I've got my.
I don't know about- Yeah, no kidding.
Writing order.
Well,
It's
it's
interesting.
people drive to work, so you said, unless, you know.
He's graduating.
I know they called the check. like,
He only
they're
knows
like,
one
hey,
speech.
no,
That's
that-
full of thought.
That's what he's a go-to guy.
They've been waiting.
Yeah.
Lord knows how long.
I'm gonna put it in there, actually.
Sometimes kids
That's
are
why-
happy too.
Yes. Go full. Think off across the yard. Thanks, brother, you got, turn your nose and just slide.
He watches TV too much.
I think did it the first time by mistake.
Yeah, all the time.
And then it was like, let's figure it out.
It's only tax.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have the opportunity to do it.
I think you guys should sell it.
And you got the.
I really don't care.
Yeah, for me.
And the little.
Yeah.
No, but I guarantee they won't let that old one go. And they won't sell it. I guarantee.
Oh, okay. Never mind. So.
So understand what the manufacturing backlog still is.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Council committees, meeting for September 16th at 6:30. Call it to order. Washington,
Here.
Liddy, here, Branch. Not here. Stevenson,
Here.
Trinka,
Here.
Davis,
Here.
Bennett,
Here.
Farrell, here. Okay, we have that on record now. First item, audience participation. If anybody from the audience have anything to say? Mr. Craven, so you got 5 minutes you know the rules, 5 minutes.
I know the rules. Hate to disappoint you, Jared. I have something to say. Okay, everybody sits here, most of these meetings, watching people go by, speeding all the time. We all talk about speed bumps, bump outs, planters, roundabout, to slow down traffic in town. All this is gonna cost the city a lot of money. Citizens continue to come up here at meetings complaining about speeding all over this town. It's not just the Burke Street, it's not just Belleville Street, it's every place in town, okay? Nothing new, old news. Linda, last week, you were in a discussion about getting speeding tickets issued, and the subject came up that we can't do this to make money. And you pointed out, we're not doing this to make money, we're doing this to slow down speeding. Remember that conversation?
No, that was,
I said that was you. Sorry, wrong lady. Am I confused?
that's okay.
I thought it was you. I'm sorry. I wrote down the wrong name. Apologize for that. The discussion was made though, okay? It's not done to make money, it's done for public safety. I got that. But can't use it as a revenue source. Okay, also last week, Chief of Police made a statement that they recently clocked a speeder at 100 miles an hour on Belleville Street. Everybody remembers that. 100 miles an hour on Belleville Street. Okay, I confirmed with staff City Hall this last week that there have been no tickets issued in a long time. None. None for 100 miles an hour. No tickets, period, for quite some time. I looked it up. Speeding over 35 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour or more in the state of Illinois over the speed limit, it's a class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and $2,500 fine. Nobody got a ticket on that 100-mile-an-hour speeding ticket. Why? I don't know. I can hear I'd like to know. I can hear a lot of excuses, officer discretion. Don't want to hear that. We don't want to do a high-speed chase. Don't have to catch you. All you gotta do is get a license number. Had a city cop when I was young and stupid, waiting for me when I got home one night because I did something stupid. He didn't chase me. He had no problem finding me. All you need is a license number. Okay, I've been told, police are too busy to issue speeding tickets. I've been trying to get a police report for the O'Fallon paper for over a year now, or in the papers here, she knows, I've talked to her, and trying to get information that's meaningful, that makes sense in the paper, so we all know what's going on here. I've had aldermen tell me, you guys don't know what's going on as far as police activity. Nobody seems to. You need to find out. There's no proof to the public because of how busy they are. George, we talked once about the chief doing patrol duty if they were short on staff. Your comment to me was if we did that, he'd quit.
I didn't make that statement.
My recollection it is.
I did.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
he was there. Yeah, you did. No offense. Thing of it is, when I hear around town, a lot of people wouldn't think that's a bad idea if that happened. That this might not be a bad idea. Something has to be done. I am sorry. We don't need to spend a ton of money to control speeding. You write a few tickets, slows it down, ends it. Why we can't get it done? I don't know. None of you guys are stupid here. There's not a bad guy in this room, okay? God's sakes, do something. It can be done. Cheap and easy fix. It's obvious. The only thing I'm gonna ask is please do something before somebody gets killed on these streets. A kid gets killed. Anybody gets killed or hurt by a driver speeding, it's gonna be a bad news. My wife made a comment some time back. I think it was when the situation over the produce stand a year or two ago, the fiasco that was. You guys gotta do better. I wanna say it again. You gotta do better about the speeding thing. You don't have to spend a ton of money. We don't have to redo the streets. But George.
Have 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. That's it. I'm done.
Okay,
I figured that right. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else? The audience.
Okay,
Okay,
I did some of my own research. Okay. This is.
yeah, first one, can you
Demonstrate.
say
Go
your
along
name?
with Ron said, there are grants out there, state and federal grants. That this town could get. And it has to do with. You know, if you have a speeding problem, an accident problem. Okay. My main concern, okay. Is it gonna take the death of, say, a child riding their bike to school or walking to school? For something to happen? I realize we are not a proactive town, we are reactive. But the problem of it is, a death of a child. You can't just write it off as collateral damage. You can't just say to the parent, oh, well, I guess we should have done something. You can't replace that child. The only problem with these grants is you have to have data. Data that you can show that you need the grant. Okay, you have to have accident reports. You have to have how many tickets were issued. You have to say how bad the speeding is. We don't have that. We have no data. Okay. Why can we not put one of those signs up? The chief said last week, we don't have the money for it. But as you pass it, if you're going past the speed limit, it tells you how fast you're going. And some of them take pictures of the car. There's your data. It compiles itself. Okay. we have money for pet projects that come up, that to me seem ridiculous, but okay, you spend it that way. But what's gonna happen? If somebody gets killed in this town because somebody's going 100 miles an hour, clocked by a cop who does nothing, you're gonna have one more large lawsuit. And you should worry, George, because if you get rear-ended in your petty car, you and your passengers, bam, you're all gone. Because you know as well as I do, you're not gonna see a car going 100 miles an hour when you go to pull out anywhere. It's gonna hit you before you know it. So, you know, just remember, there are things you can do, but you have to have the data to do it.
Thank you.
It'll get fast.
Okay, you have to stand up and state your name up here.
Sharon Guile, just quickly on that, in terms of gathering data. It's really easy. Okay, it was in Kansas, but I gathered data that was adequate for the city of Lawrence, Kansas to install stop signs by just standing out there, following the rules and doing traffic counts and such. I mean, it's easy to obtain data.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Older person, any older person comment?
Yes, I have one, Charles Bennett, Alderman, fourth ward there. Had couple of different residents that brought to our attention that crosswalks was not put in there with the street. And they wondering why on Janet and Ursula Drive there, we don't have the crosswalks in there. So I went over to the other streets and they did put brand new crosswalks in. And they were wondering as to why and if they would put those crosswalks in.
Okay,
I've got something, George.
you go ahead.
Back in March of this year, a group of investors came to town, were wanting to build a $6 million sports academy. They called it in the field adjacent to IGA. In the meantime, not that I'm aware of, we've heard nothing on that stuff, so I contacted Josh Wilson, who's the group spokesman, about the update or of the project, and I'm gonna read what his response was. Says, when we first started investigating the Lebanon project, we were approached about an opportunity to purchase a Belleville Sportsplex. We closed on this purchase at the end of May. This was a lower risk investment, being already established and having multiple tenants in place. We are currently starting an expansion project that's taking up most of our time and resources. This doesn't mean we would not still be interested at some point in considering our project in Lebanon. However, it would not be for quite a while until our expansion at the Sportsplex is completed and stabilized. I know this is not what the city is hoping for, but we had to take the lower risk opportunity at this time. One positive would be if we do decide to pursue the Lebanon project down the road, we will now have much more experience with this type of project.
Charlie, what was that place that they were gonna work on, what city?
Which one? The one they purchased?
Yes, in other words, they're not doing it here, they're doing it somewhere else.
No, they're not doing it someplace else. They purchased the one in Belleville. The Belleville Sportsplex, I think is on 158 over kind of southwest of Swick.
Okay.
So. I said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's,
My gut feeling, I've heard that had happened. But didn't have the specifics, but soon as the article was in the paper, all of a sudden something else comes up. So we have to be very careful about when things are going on in town, that's something new that we don't, sometimes we have to, that's why Open Meeting Act allows us to discuss real estate, some of these things in executive session, even with the people involved, so that that's not your fault, Pam, but the newspapers are gonna publish the news. And if it gets out and it's a broadly known thing, sometimes it's too early. Sometimes it creates somebody else who has an opportunity to jump in and take a project away. So we have to be careful about that, be very frank. I don't know if that's what happened, but I kind of heard that was one of the things that had happened. Is they were sitting down there with this thing already and they're saying, hey, we got a tenant right now, we can get in here and do it. So. Thank you.
I'm just passing on. what
Right, I
heard.
understand.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Charlie, for
Sure.
that information. It's good to have the horse's mouth. It's good to have that. Anything else? I have a couple things that are minor to bring up. First one is, we had an ordinance passed to have stop signs put in where there had been yield signs down in Ward 2. And that's been more than a month and a half ago. And I'm curious as to where those stop signs are.
I've never got the ordinance. I don't put signs in the ground until the drafted ordinance from the attorney is there, because all signs are added and taken away by ordinance. So if I don't have it in my hand saying that it's passed, it's a lot different than just voting on it up front. Say I put these stop signs in and there's no ordinance written on it, then the city's in trouble.
There was an ordinance that we had at the time we passed it. So that's something that we have to ask, the clerk to give you a copy of that ordinance.
And as soon as I have the ordinance in hand that says that those are supposed to be put in the ground, I will do it. It's the same thing with the, deaf children ahead sign that was over McKendree Park Drive. I was advised not to do it until that ordinance was in hand. So I'm just following the rules you guys told me to follow.
The deaf children's sign, we were informed by the attorney at that time that we did not need an ordinance, that could be, because it was not done by ordinance, that it could be removed by just passage of the councils. It's in the minutes.
Okay,
So,
so we still need an ordinance to put some new signs up though.
yes, yes,
So
but
once
that
that is
particular
drafted
sign.
in my hand, you will have your four-way stops.
That particular sign that you're talking about, the deaf child, was not ever, it was not an ordinance sign, it was just, the council at that time just passed it, they approved it. And
We
we
don't
put
need an
it,
ordinance to put signs in and take them out.
yes, we do. But that was
Okay.
a long time ago, during a different administration, when the city council did more things, because they came up at a meeting, and our city attorney at that time was not doing ordinances like that. And even if we did, it would be a long time. Some of the ordinances took as much as 2 months to be written.
Oh, wow, yeah, well, just let me know when that paperwork comes in, I'll be more than happy to get it done, the signs are.
And that was a different council, but that side can come down. We were told by the city attorney, they can come down by a vote. I asked them about that. The other signs, stop signs, yes, we did pass an ordinance. It was a specific one, and it's probably on the website. You can print it out.
Okay, well, that doesn't help me when it's gotta come to me. It's like a work order, it's gotta get to my desk.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I had is, when we passed the personnel manual, there is a section in the personnel manual that talks about training for harassment required for all employees. That is actually a statute that requires that there be annual training on harassment for all city employees. And I don't know that it's ever been done, and we need to arrange for it. There are a couple of possibilities of research, and it was in my cover material for that ordinance when we put it on the next to the last time. And it was basically, we could download the IML information, which is purely a PowerPoint, a PDF PowerPoint the employee can go through on their own, and we can make an assumption that they went through it and they understand it. That's the easy way. There are some companies that provide training that costs a lot of money. And I don't think we can afford that. But there's one that I found that is $18.44 per employee. And the employee goes online during work hours, takes about 45 minutes, gets the training, takes a quiz, and they provide us with documentation that it was done and that the employee understood the items, because they would have to meet a threshold to pass it. So we need to talk about this some more, we're still on the agenda, so we can't do anything with it tonight.
I think if we check IML, they may also do a training.
They have a training, but that's because we have to actually deliver it.
Well, we need to check into it.
Yeah, I looked at what they gave us is a PowerPoint. I signed up for it. They gave me a PowerPoint. They said, read it. And then, it doesn't mean that I learned anything. But yeah, we can look again at the IML, but we need to look at these things. And I'm gonna put it on my agenda for the first meeting in November. So this is October. So first meeting of, this is September. First meeting in October, I got to work on that cusp. First, ordinance meeting in October, I'm gonna put that out there for discussion. So we can, with some examples, so we can make a recommendation. We need to get this done during the fiscal year. We don't wanna get caught with an employee doing something or saying something. And another employee, because with that personnel manual out there now, it's there. It's got the stuff there.
Wouldn't it be health and safety or personnel that would,
It would either be personnel or health and safety,
rather than you?
not ordinance.
George, wasn't there something in the personal manual indicating that the individual was supposed to read this?
Yeah, doesn't mean they can read it,
Yeah.
doesn't mean they understand it, doesn't mean that, that just meant that they read it and they're signing off, they read it. But the training is separate from the manual. The manual states that every employee will go through annual sexual harassment training. And that's because of an act that was passed by the state legislature. That should have been going on, that started, I think, 1.5 or 2 years ago. So it should have been going on already. We're behind the 8 ball on that. Just my comments. So we have more than a 20-minute meeting. Any other comments from all the persons? Okay,
And we
moving
want to
on.
mention that Gary Chris called me and told me that the last bit of the sign out on the cemetery, she should be done by Friday. I might be able to put it up, if not, probably the first of next week.
Hey, thank you. Be nice to see something other than a gate. Okay, thank you. Committees. Finance is not here, so we can't have a report. Water and sewer, any report? Anything from water and sewer?
Any of you start flushing the lines?
Started today.
I thought in front of my house, I saw water. I was questioning, wondering when.
Yeah, we started mid-morning. We did a tap for the new greenhouse at the school this morning first, and then started flushing hydrants afterwards. We're listed for all weekend flushing. Our big thing will probably be done by Thursday.
Mr. Kenny, how long did you say that, that's actually supposed to last for folks that are like diabetic or transplants and things like that you recommend?
That's the free chlorine residual,
Uh-huh.
and that will last for about 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
And it started around the first of the month, so. It'll last into the end of October, probably, middle to end of October. I don't do that, that comes from SLM, so I just send out the notice that they're doing it, but they're the ones that feed them or don't feed them on it.
Anything else from water and sewer committee? Personnel committee. Health and safety. Don't have any report, nothing on there? Any unfinished business? New business. We're gonna receive an ordinance by next week, so we cannot make a recommendation. We don't have the ordinance in hand. But we're gonna request an ordinance to surplus the GMC C750 Altech bucket truck with a VIN. And I'm not gonna read the whole VIN, and having 61,570 miles. There will be a minimum reserve of $5,000 placed on the item. Bids will be due by October 4th, 2024 at 4:00 PM and open at the October 14th council meeting. That means that the ordinance will have to be to the council next week.
I got a question.
Sure.
61,000 miles doesn't sound like that.
It's a diesel and all of our other vehicles are gasoline. And operating that one diesel is a problem. Plus it does have some other mechanical issues.
Those vehicles operate more on idle hours and that, you have to look at the engine hours over the mileage on those because they run sitting still basically with the hydraulics all pumping and everything in them too, so. You won't see as many miles on some of these because we're in a small town, so it doesn't get a lot of mileage. How old is this thing? Well, it's,
It's the 2000,
what year it was?
oh, I forget what year it is. Cody, remember
Oh,
what
you
year
know what
that?
year that thing was?
The bucket truck,
Yeah,
The bucket,
either 98 or 88, I think it's 98.
it's quite old.
GMC top kit.
Yeah, it's a GMC, 750.
And then are you gonna replace it with something?
Truthfully, probably not at this time. Well,
That's good.
because,
That's good. That's fine.
there's a lot of OSHA requirements and stuff that we would have to get up to speed on. That, and which means we gotta buy a lot of stuff to get that, to get the department up to that.
Now, we're advertising this, I guess?
Yes,
We would later on, correct?
after the ordinance is passed.
yes.
Where are we gonna, advertise it?
We'd be advertised in the newspaper and then also on a form of social media to get the word out. If we don't get the price we like, we list it again. Get to that point, we'll find an auction service. The reason why, like Bobby was saying too, is a lot of this equipment now, you can't do like you did 25 years ago. There has to be training, minimum training on all the equipment that we have. So bucket trucks now, a lot of things, because we are under IDOL for all of our operations, you have to have minimums of self bucket rescue and all the rigging to have everything in that truck. At this time, none of the equipment we have is going to meet that requirement. So we could fix the truck and keep it going along, but by the time we maybe get self bucket rescue and all the other operations for that to be compliant, which is annual training as well, we're just stringing the truck along, and so hopefully this will allow us to open up a little more room, and once we start to get more compliant with everything that's coming down, then we'll be able to look into possibly a F-450 or a small bucket truck that we can use that's manageable for our guys.
Right. So this will be on the agenda for next week, but it will not be with a recommendation. Because we don't have to pick the actual ordinance again. Are you gonna talk to Mike about it, or you want?
I can call him.
No problem. So we'll tell them we'll need to have an ordinance again.
Okay, we'll do, so I'm getting, trying.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Is there anything else on the new business? Well, there being no further business for the committees, we are adjourned.